Texas has long been marketed as the ultimate safe haven for homeowners. No state income tax, a booming job market, and a reputation for endless opportunity. But as we move through 2025, the cracks are hard to ignore. From Austin's flashy skyline to the suburbs around Dallas, the Lone Star State is showing signs of a slowdown. Inventory is piling up, discounts are spreading, and investor confidence is fading fast. In this breakdown, we're counting down the 10 worst cities to buy a home in Texas this year. These are places where the market is cooling faster than expected, risks are rising, and the so-called Texas dream could cost you more than you bargained for. If you want to stay ahead of the housing trends that matter, hit subscribe. This is NationPeek, and today we're diving into the raw truth about Texas real estate. No hype, no spin, just the facts you need. Let's start with number 10, Killeen. Number 10. Killeen, anchored by Fort Cavazos and steeped in military history, Killeen was once a magnet for affordable housing. But in 2025, that foundation is wobbling. Between 2020 and 2022, home prices skyrocketed as low interest rates, military demand, and pandemic migration fueled a frenzy. But those days are gone. Today, inventory is up more than 50% year over year. Homes sit on the market for months, 70, 90, even 100 days, while sellers slash prices and builders hand out incentives just to get deals closed. The biggest vulnerability? Economic dependence on the military base. A reduction in troop levels, shifts in federal funding, or deployment changes could send demand crashing overnight. Add in underfunded schools, limited amenities, and struggling flippers, and the outlook dims even further. Rental investors are seeing rising vacancy rates and weaker returns, and long-term appreciation is fading fast. Those who bought at the top are quietly watching equity erode. If you're considering planting roots in Killeen, proceed with caution. This isn't just a temporary cool down, it's a housing market built on fragile ground. And that's only the beginning. Let's move on to city number 9, where coastal beauty hides serious financial risk. Corpus Christi. Number 9. Corpus Christi. On the surface, Corpus Christi looks like a postcard come to life. Sweeping Gulf Coast views, golden sunsets, and homes just steps from the beach. For decades, it's been pitched as a coastal dream. But in 2025, that dream comes with a heavy price tag. Insurance costs have skyrocketed after multiple tropical threats. For some waterfront properties, annual flood insurance runs between $5,000 and $7,000, and that's if coverage is even available. These hidden costs are forcing many buyers to walk away. Meanwhile, home values along the coast have been sliding. Properties that once attracted bidding wars now sit unsold. Outside of the port and refinery sectors, job opportunities are thin, wage growth has stalled, and younger professionals are moving inland to Austin and San Antonio. What's left is an aging buyer base with limited demand. And then there's the upkeep. Salt air, humidity, storm prep, and mold drive maintenance costs through the roof. Retirees who dreamed of a low-cost waterfront lifestyle are beginning to rethink their choices, and developers have hit the brakes on new projects. Yes, Corpus Christi remains beautiful, but in 2025, beauty alone isn't enough. Without careful planning, the financial undertow here could drag even seasoned investors under. Now let's head north, to a city once hailed as a hidden gem, but now facing an oversupply problem. Lubbock. Number 8. Lubbock, sitting out on the high plains, has always been known for its wide-open skies, Texas Tech University, and homes that felt within reach for first-time buyers. But in 2025, what once looked like a safe bet is slowly unraveling. From 2021 through 2023, developers flooded the market with new builds, rows of starter homes, duplexes, and subdivisions, expecting a surge in demand. That surge never really arrived. Population growth stalled, mortgage rates climbed, And now the city is staring down an oversupply problem. Inventory is stacking up, with houses sitting on the market 90 days or more. Price reductions are now routine. Builders are throwing in appliance packages, free upgrades, and closing credits just to get buyers through the door. But the bigger issue is economic depth, or rather, the lack of it. Outside of education and healthcare, Lubbock has limited job diversity. Industries driving growth elsewhere in Texas, tech, logistics, finance, are virtually absent here. That means wages aren't keeping up with rising mortgage costs, leaving many would-be buyers on the sidelines. Investors who jumped in during the pandemic boom are finding themselves squeezed, struggling to break even on rentals. Appreciation, it's flat at best, with little sign of a turnaround. Lubbock isn't in freefall, but it's drifting downward, slowly, steadily, and with no clear catalyst for recovery. For buyers looking for stability or growth, this market is starting to look more like a dead end. And that brings us to number 7, a suburb that once symbolized unstoppable growth, but now shows the dangers of overbuilding: Frisco. Number 7. Frisco. For years, Frisco was the crown jewel of Texas real estate. A booming suburb north of Dallas, it was hailed as the model of master-planned living. Luxury homes, corporate campuses, and family-friendly neighborhoods that seem to grow overnight. But in 2025, that shine is starting to fade. Inventory has exploded, up nearly 80% year over year. Those luxury builds that once sparked heated bidding wars are now sitting idle. Developers are cutting prices, $30,000, $50,000, sometimes even more, just to stay competitive. Interest rate buy-downs are offered as standard, but even those perks aren't enough to pull in hesitant buyers. And behind the glossy marketing, deeper cracks are emerging. Infrastructure hasn't kept pace, traffic is gridlocked, schools are overcrowded, promised city services are delayed, leaving new homeowners frustrated. Add in rising property taxes and ballooning HOA fees, and the affordability that once attracted families is quickly slipping away. Investors are also feeling the pain. Homes purchased in 2022 are already underwater. Short-term rentals, once a goldmine, are struggling to turn a profit, with units sitting vacant for weeks at a time. Frisco still looks polished on the surface, but the numbers tell another story. What was once a surefire path to appreciation now looks risky, unstable, and overbuilt. For buyers chasing long-term equity, Frisco in 2025 is a gamble. And speaking of risks, the next city on our list isn't about luxury, it's about location. Number 6. Pasadena, Texas, where flooding concerns are rewriting the housing equation. Number 6. Pasadena, Texas. Not to be confused with its glamorous California namesake, Pasadena, Texas is a hard-working suburb southeast of Houston. For years, it was seen as a budget-friendly stepping stone into the Houston metro. But in 2025, this city has become one of the riskiest housing bets in the region. The problem boils down to one word: flooding. Pasadena sits low, both geographically and financially. A large share of its homes fall inside FEMA high-risk flood zones. After storms like Hurricane Nicholas overwhelmed the city's already fragile infrastructure, confidence in the housing market hasn't fully recovered. Drainage systems are outdated, and even a moderate rainfall can leave streets underwater. Insurance costs reflect that reality. Some homeowners are now paying over $6,000 a year just for flood insurance. For many first-time buyers, that expense is simply a deal-breaker. Since mid-2024, home prices in Pasadena have slipped nearly 9%. New buyers are backing away, lenders are growing stricter, and investors have shifted their money to safer ground. Even long-time residents are questioning whether it's worth staying. What was once considered an affordable gateway to Houston real estate is now looking more like a liability. Pasadena's struggle isn't just about price, it's about sustainability. And right now, the risks are stacking higher than the rewards. Next on the list, we head south to a city rich in culture but struggling with demand collapse, McAllen. Number 5. McAllen has always stood out from other Texas cities. Known for its vibrant culture, borderland history, and some of the most affordable home prices in the state, it looked like a safe entry point for first-time buyers and investors alike. But in 2025, the reality is much harsher. Home values have dropped more than 10% since their 2023 peak, and this isn't just a mild correction, it's a demand collapse. During the boom years, out-of-state investors rushed in, betting big on subdivisions and speculative builds. But those buyers have disappeared, leaving half-finished neighborhoods and streets dotted with unsold homes. Even rental prospects have soured. Yields that once seemed attractive have dried up, as wages in the region stagnate and households struggle to cover rising living costs. On top of that, McAllen's summer utility bills are soaring, stretching already tight budgets. Healthcare infrastructure, another cornerstone for long-term livability, is strained, adding further pressure on demand. Lenders are tightening credit, making it even harder for local buyers to qualify for mortgages. And without strong job growth or upward mobility in the region, there's little to support housing demand. McAllen is still rich in community and culture, but when it comes to real estate, the risks are outweighing the rewards. If you're looking for appreciation or resale stability in 2025, this market could leave you stranded. From South Texas, let's shift northward to a city that once thrived in Dallas's shadow but is now cracking under the weight of overbuilding. Fort Worth. Number 4. Fort Worth, the cowboy cousin to Dallas. For years it thrived in the shadow of its glitzier neighbor, carving out its own brand of growth and grit. But by 2025, the cracks in that growth story are starting to show. Developers went big, too big. Master-planned suburbs, sprawling condo projects and high-rise apartments flooded the market. Now supply has far outpaced demand and listings are everywhere. The average days on market has doubled since 2022, with homes sitting unsold for weeks or even months. Price cuts have become standard, and short-term rental profits that once hit $2,500 a month have evaporated. Many units are barely breaking even if they're rented at all. Meanwhile, foreclosure filings are ticking upward. Not a tidal wave yet, but enough to raise alarms about middle-income households under strain. Zoom in closer, and the problems multiply. Some zip codes are seeing rising crime as rapid sprawl outpaces basic infrastructure. Trash pickup delays, pothole-filled roads, and overcrowded schools are wearing down buyer confidence. On top of that, property tax reassessments have left many homeowners angry and investors second-guessing their numbers. Fort Worth isn't collapsing, but the foundation feels shaky. The very growth that fueled its rise is now threatening its stability. Buyers who once saw it as the affordable alternative to Dallas are facing a market that feels bloated, overextended, and uncertain. And Fort Worth isn't alone. Travel west, and you'll find another Texas city where oversupply and weak demand are dragging the market down, El Paso. Number 3. El Paso. El Paso, the proud frontier city where desert mountains meet military bases and culture flows from both sides of the border. For decades it's been resilient, steady, and affordable. But in 2025, that resilience is being tested. Housing inventory has surged by more than 60%. New builds, resale listings, even half-finished developments are piling up with too few buyers to absorb them. In other markets, rapid population growth can balance oversupply. But here, the demand engine just isn't strong enough. Sales volume has dropped sharply. Price cuts are no longer surprises, they're expected. Investors have moved on, redirecting their money to Dallas, Houston, and even smaller towns with better prospects. The challenge? Geographic isolation. El Paso sits over 500 miles from Austin, more than 600 from Houston. That distance makes it far less attractive for corporate relocations and professional job growth. The local economy leans heavily on the military, border logistics, and federal agencies. While stable, those sectors don't generate the type of housing booms that lift values over time. Add stagnant wages and tighter lending standards, and many locals can't qualify for loans, even as prices soften. The result is a stuck market, too much supply, not enough demand, and little incentive for builders or buyers to jump in. El Paso's culture and scenery remain unmatched, but for real estate investors or long-term equity seekers, the risk outweighs the reward. From the far west, let's shift back toward the heart of Texas, where one of the state's biggest metros is cracking under its own rapid growth, San Antonio. Number 2. San Antonio. San Antonio is one of Texas's most iconic cities, rich with history, bursting with culture, and for years it was sold as a place where growth seemed endless. But in 2025, the boom has gone too far, and the market is struggling to keep up. New subdivisions are everywhere, especially on the outskirts from Cibolo to New Braunfels. Yet supply is now far greater than demand. Builders are dangling steep discounts, free upgrades, and interest rate buy-downs just to move inventory. Despite the incentives, listings are stacking up faster than sales. Homeowners, meanwhile, are growing restless. Complaints about HOA enforcement are rising, utility bills are spiking, and construction quality is slipping, with reports of cracked foundations, HVAC breakdowns, and unfinished community amenities becoming more common. Beyond that, crime is creeping higher in certain districts, and controversial school zoning changes are adding tension for families. The job market outside of healthcare has stagnated, leaving fewer opportunities to support long-term housing demand. The bottom line? San Antonio isn't collapsing, but it's bloated, overpriced, and oversold. The very narrative that made it a hotspot, rapid growth, has turned into its biggest liability. Buyers here are increasingly second-guessing their decisions, and investors are left wondering if the hype was worth the risk. And now, we arrive at the city that once defined Texas's real estate boom, but in 2025 has become the poster child for decline. Austin. Number 1. Austin was once untouchable. The tech capital of Texas, the migration magnet, the city everyone wanted a piece of during the pandemic housing gold rush. From 2020 to 2022, values shot through the roof, and Austin seemed unstoppable. But in 2025, that story has flipped. Home prices have dropped more than 15% in many neighborhoods, and they're still sliding. Entire condo towers sit dark at night. Luxury homes that once sparked bidding wars now gather dust. Listings that sold in days are sitting for months, even with six-figure discounts. So, what went wrong? Tech layoffs. Giants like Google, Meta, and Oracle trimmed their Austin workforces, gutting downtown demand. Commute-heavy suburbs such as Leander and Kyle are losing steam, as buyers rethink long drives with fewer jobs waiting on the other side. Add rising property taxes and soaring insurance costs, and affordability has collapsed. Builders overshot the market, flooding it with supply. Investors have been blindsided by stricter Airbnb restrictions that crushed rental returns. And first-time buyers, squeezed by high interest rates, are simply locked out. For long-time owners, equity is shrinking month by month. Austin isn't just cooling, it's contracting. If you're buying here in 2025, do it for the lifestyle, not for the return on investment. Because when it comes to ROI, the well has run dry. Texas isn't falling apart, but these 10 cities are flashing warning signs in plain sight. Oversupply, softening demand, hidden costs, and local risks that could turn your dream home into a financial nightmare. That's why we're here at NationPeek. Our mission is to cut through the hype, expose the risks, and give you the facts before they hit the headlines. So if you found this breakdown useful, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone thinking of buying in Texas. Together, we can make smarter moves in a shifting market. And before we wrap, a heartfelt note. Our thoughts are with everyone across Texas impacted by the recent floods. Real estate isn't just numbers, it's about families, communities, and lives. We stand with you and we wish you safety, healing, and strength in the days ahead. Stay smart, stay safe, stay informed. We'll see you in the next one.